Louder! Show me the token! That's it, Jerry, come on!
Show me the token!
But let's check if you're really ready!
Show me the token!
Do you love buybacks? I love buybacks!
Show me the token!
And I love America!
I love America!
Who's your motherfucker, Jerry? You my motherfucker! What you gonna do, Jerry?
Show me the token!
Congrats, Jerry. Now go get your OGN.
Back in my day, we didn't have buybacks, we had war bonds. Now I just stake my OGN and let the Dow fight the wars for me. The OGN Dow has started buybacks, and with every purchase, I get a share of the rewards. Now I get to go to Denny's 5 times per week, but I still only tip 10%. God bless that little buyback bot.
Tipping 10% with all that buyback yield? You're going to hell, Dolores.
Jerry?
Fucking AI is crawling up my ass, Rod. You just tell me, what can I do for
I
you?
got so much AI up my ass, I couldn't take a shit this morning. But this is about something else entirely. Are you ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Here it is. Show me the token. Oh! Say it with me one time, Jerry.
Show me the token.
Oh, Jerry, don't like some exit liquidity chump. Say it like you're dating the deaf sister.
Yeah, show me the token.
Louder like a teacher at 8-bit heat.
Show me the token!
Yes! Louder! Show me the token! That's it, Jerry, come on!
Show me the token!
But let's check if you're really ready!
Show me the token!
Do you love buybacks? I love buybacks!
Show me the token!
And I love America!
I love America!
Who's your motherfucker, Jerry? You my motherfucker! What you gonna do, Jerry?
Show me the token!
Congrats, Jerry. Now go get your OGN.
Back in my day, we didn't have buybacks, we had war bonds. Now I just stake my OGN and let the Dow fight the wars for me. The OGN Dow has started buybacks, and with every purchase, I get a share of the rewards. Now I get to go to Denny's 5 times per week, but I still only tip 10%. God bless that little buyback bot.
Tipping 10% with all that buyback yield? You're going to hell, Dolores.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Origin community call of the year. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to get started. I hope you guys enjoyed those videos we had for the warm-up. We have a little bit of a different call today. As you can see, I'm on camera, and we have a few people joining us. Ziad is being our producer today. He's going to bring up the slides for us, and we'll get started. We have Yearn Finance joining us today, as well as a couple people from the Origin team. But let's get started with a few announcements. So a couple things that we're going to cover today. We've seen some really great growth in OGN staking. We have almost 50% of the supply now locked to earn rewards. We have some stats to share with you guys on the next slide, but a few other announcements. We do have new Pendle markets that are live for Origin Ether and the ARM, so you can check those out on Pendle. I believe the expiry is either June or July, so around 6 months until those markets expire. You can long yield, you can get fixed rates on Origin Ether and the ARM. But Peter is going to talk more about that in his section. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up because those old markets did expire and we got new ones up on Pendle. We also published our token holder update. So if you guys are interested in getting more information about the different things we talk about on this community call and other updates, feel free to read through our December token holder update. That's live on our blog. The URL is originprotocol.com/blog. So you can get more in-depth updates there, as well as product metrics on all of our tokens. And then a big focus of the call today is going to be on our OUSD overhaul. So that's why Yearn is joining us. We've been collaborating really closely with Yearn to get this live. Phase 1 is now pretty much complete, and we have some more to share on phase 2 of OUSD. So some pretty interesting things going on with Origin Dollar, our first yield-bearing stablecoin. I believe the first yield-bearing stablecoin in DeFi. It's been around since 2020, and we're doing some major upgrades to it. So we have a lot to share on OUSD on this call today. Ziad, if you're around, if you're able to bring up Raphael and Peter to join the call. I know I have some updates to share on OGN, but if we could get everybody in the call, that would be great. Hey, Raphael. Hey, Peter.
Hello, GM.
GM.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad.
So for those of you who are unaware, Peter is our BD manager at Origin Protocol, and Raphael is our CEO. So Raphael is going to share product updates with us today. Peter is going to share some news on integration. So we're going to get into that. Ziad, if you're able to share the slides with all three of us, that would be awesome. Just bear with us for a second here. All right, so I want to start with some of the OGN updates. If you can go back one slide, please. So these are the current stats on OGN. So total buyback so far approaching 61 million OGN. And most of that has come in the past few months. All this is funded by protocol revenue. You can see in the last month alone, in the month of December, over 13 million OGN was bought back. So we're tracking the nominal value, but also the percentage of circulating supply, which is currently 9.2% of the circulating supply bought back. So tracking really well. Not sure exactly what the number is annualized, but over 10% of the circulating supply is bought back on a yearly basis. So really solid fundamentals for OGN right now. And as I alluded to in the announcements, the percentage of staking supply has grown quite a bit. So we're almost at 50% right now, and we're still yielding in the 20% range for OGN staking rewards on max locked OGN. So really solid rewards for locking OGN, and that's funded by protocol revenue. So no more token emissions on Origin token, and our protocol revenue is being used to buy back OGN on the open market. And then that OGN is distributed to those who lock OGN. You get more if you lock for a longer period of time, but you can lock anywhere from 1 month to 1 year. So that's our update on OGN. We'll cover this on every community call as we do, but love to see these numbers tick up. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Raphael to talk a bit about some product updates. I know we're working on a lot of different products. I think we'll probably spend the bulk of the time talking about Origin Dollar with Yearn. But we have a few other updates to get into first. So I'll pass the mic over to Raphael.
Thanks, Ryan. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, I think again, this slide, what I want to call the attention is on ARM. Like for those who don't know, ARM is our product that arbitrages different redeemable assets, and it helps them to maintain a good peg. but also it generates a very good yield for the LPs. And with this expansion, we are focusing right now on the Ethena, one arm for Ethena, which uses USDE to acquire SUSDE at a discount. And this is our first stablecoin arm. So we're excited about that. We also have one for EtherFi with ETH. And both of these arms are currently in testing in a private beta, and all of them have the analytics page on. So if you want to double check how it's working until all the integrations are done and all the DEX aggregators are already connected there, like feel free to check it out. So we're already having some trades, which is looking pretty nice. And then the other one that I want to talk about, it's something that we have been discussing a lot with a use case that a lot of people wanted to do, which was in a way to leverage LP, like the ARM LP tokens. So we launched our first ARM pool, which is a very interesting pool because this pool has pool booster enabled. So it's paired with OETH and ARM staked ETH. So what OETH in this case, what it does with the pool booster, I will explain a little bit more how that works on the OUSD part. But the yield that was going to the pool before now is actually redirected. It's forwarded to an intermediary contract that used to incentivize the pool without doing anything. So this pool will earn from the ARM token, from the OETH, and plus some incentives that we have been added. And right now, this pool has like maybe I think it's around $230,000, and it's yielding around like 27 to 68% yield. So very interesting opportunity there. And yeah, can you go to the next slide, please?
Hey, Rafael. I'm not sure if you mentioned, but where is that pool deployed if people are interested in providing liquid?
It's deployed on Curve. Sorry.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. 27 to 68%. Very impressive. Both of those are ETH-based assets as well. So really
yeah. So it's a very interesting pool. We're excited about that, and like we hope that it will give the leveraging opportunity live soon.
Awesome. Yeah. And before we move on to Origin Ether, if you guys want to view the analytics on our new ARM deployments, even though they're in private beta, you can see the progress on our analytics page. The URL is originprotocol.com/analytics. I believe you can also access it at analytics.originprotocol.com. But I believe we have around 5 million of trading volume on the EtherFi ARM, but both are still in testing. We'll have news when those open up to public LPs, hopefully pretty soon here.
Cool. Thanks for the help. Okay, on Origin Ether, which is our OETH product, we finished the upgrade. For those who didn't know, or didn't remember exactly, we are right now have fully audited and live the ability to use the new validator types, which allows us to do partial withdrawals and auto compounding on our strategies, which is really cool. But besides that, it also offers some good front run protection. And also, I think this is the most important part, which allows the Merkle proof verification. So now we don't need to use any oracles. Like if you compare against other LSTs that they have multiple oracles to validate the amount of ETH that are in the validators, we can check that directly using Merkle proofs on the Beacon chain. So this is pretty cool. And we have we started like spinning up validators. So we have 4 validators live, but right now the entry queue got a little bit all over the place. So we need to wait a little bit to start putting ETH there.
Right. So we've been waiting to deposit more to our new validator architecture, and that's, I assume, because of yield, right? Do you want to explain a little bit about the implications of that? and how the migration will work?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? So like the way that it works is that when you are exiting the validators, in the previous setup, you have the exit queue and then the sweeping time, which is the sweeping time is around 9 days, and the exit queues is somewhere there, right? So what is happening right now is that what happens that when you're exiting, you're still earning yield. You don't earn yield on the sweeping time. But when you are coming in with ETH, you need to wait until the entry queue is low, because right now you don't earn yield on that. And right now is, I think it's 35 days, the entry queue. So whatever ETH we deposit there, it will stay 30 to 35 days without earning yield. And that's why it's a little bit complicated, like to start migrating ETH from the other ones. There is a work that we can do with consolidation, but that's a little bit more complicated, and we're investigating if that's worth it or not.
Okay. Yeah, I know this was a really big upgrade we worked very hard on, and a lot of LSTs are very commoditized. This really separates Origin Ether, makes it a very distinct LST. I'm curious what our motives were for doing this upgrade, spending so much engineering time to upgrade our validator architecture. Obviously, you explained the benefits with security and front run protection, as well as efficiency updates for quicker entry and exit. But what was our main motivation to do this upgrade?
I think the main motivation is really like to have a better product in general. And I think that's what we are trying to achieve. And besides a better product, like more security and things like that. And one of the interesting parts is that like anyone can submit this proof verifications into OETH, because since it's a cryptographically verifiable, like so anyone can be a submitter on that. So I feel like it just makes the whole product better and running in an automated mode, so it doesn't require Origin to be there to make this alive.
I see. So I know we're talking to a lot of institutions right now, and say somebody reads up on this in our documentation and really likes the new validator architecture that we use, and they wanted to deposit, say, 5,000 ETH. If they were to do that, would that go straight to our new architecture and our new validators since we have these spun up, or would this go to our existing validator setup and then be migrated over later?
No, it will go to the new validators.
Very cool.
Yeah. And the cool part is that, like, let's say like that, you are like a big institution and you run to deposit like, I don't know, 100 million or something like that. You can submit the proofs yourself too, in case you want. So you can do the verification and all of that. So it's a pretty decentralized system.
Yeah, certainly a unique benefit to Origin Ether that you really don't see with any other liquid staking token. So really excited to get this update shipped.
Exactly. I guess we need to go to integrations now.
Yep, we're going to save Origin Dollar to talk about with Yearn after integrations, but I'll let Peter take the stage and talk a bit about our progress with Pendle, Morpho, the ARM, and potentially some other integrations we've shipped recently.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan. I think I'm sharing my screen now. There we go. Okay, I should be able to see it. So yeah, I've got a couple ecosystem updates to share on ARM and some of the other integrations. So starting with ARM, so on CoinGecko, you can now see the token price for the SUSDE ARM LP token, as well as the other ARM LP tokens, actually. Here's the EtherFi one, and here's the Lido one as well. So now when you deposit into any of these ARMs, then you'll be able to see the token in your wallet with the price attached to it for when we eventually open up the other ARMs, at least, that is. Also on CoinGecko, the Origin ARM is now being tracked as a decentralized exchange for all four of these tokens, or these three tokens, as well as the Sonic ARM. If you go to one of the token pages, like Origin Sonic here, and scroll down, you can now see it listed here alongside the other markets. For some reason, CoinGecko decided to split the Sonic one from the other mainnet arms. Not sure why they did that, but this is the exchange page for the Sonic arm, and then the other three are on this page. And so if you were to go to Athena, you could now find the origin arm on that page as well under markets if you sort by dexes. Okay, it's somewhere in these 10 pages. Also on the OS arm, we are now supported as a route on Velora, which was previously known as Paraswap. You can see the route when setting up the swap for OS to RepDes if you were to toggle this one right here. And you can see that 100% of this swap is being routed through the ARM. I believe we have PRs up right now on the Velora GitHub to have all the other ARMs added as routes as well, but stay tuned on that. On to the next topic, which is the Morpho borrow booster markets we have set up. Both those markets are now supported on Contango, which is a platform that makes leverage very simple. You can find the markets on the dropdown here just by searching OETH or Super OETH. I have the Super OETH one on my screen right now, and you can see that if you change this slider, it affects the ROE, which is currently showing negative because every time you increase the leverage, you're increasing your borrow amount. But all of that borrow is coming back to you as an LP or as a borrower in the form of OETH and Super OETH yield, which is why this number is positive here. And
so a negative interest rate is actually good in this scenario, right? Because that's the borrow rate.
Exactly. Right? That's the borrow rate from doing the loop several times over. And so by increasing your borrow rate, you're also increasing the yield that you'll be earning from borrowing. And so you'll earn the highest yield with the most leverage, which makes sense. So you can kind of see it here. The borrow rate is always going to be most of the time going to be the same, but some of that also depends on the amount of available liquidity to borrow. But this number is just the number to keep in mind that is increasing from you doing the loop several times over. But that is all covered by the yield that you're getting back. So you just got to do a little bit of quick, easy math here to figure out what that total positive number comes out to. But it should always be positive.
Okay, so the borrow rate without incentives, you would be paying 16.8%, and that's max looped. It's a pretty normal borrow rate, probably low single digits. But then with Borrow Booster, you're getting all the incentives back and then some. So you're actually getting paid to borrow USDC. I'm sure there's people in the audience right now who have their ETH posted on Morpho and they're taking out stablecoin loans with it. And these markets are really unique on Base and on Ethereum mainnet with Borrow Booster. And since we're doing a new stream today, it might be good to actually explain Borrow Booster a little bit to those people that might not be familiar, since we have some people outside of Origin's audience on the call today. Peter, could you explain a little bit about Borrow Booster and how you actually get paid to borrow USDC on Morpho?
Yeah, so Borrow Booster is different from every other Morpho market that incorporates an LST. With the other Morpho markets, with other LSTs, how they work is they're set up with, actually, I can just, since I'm sharing my screen, I might as well pull it up. So if you come to borrow, and I'll just use the same Super OETH market, right? Super OETH, and okay, I'm on the wrong one. Here we go.
I believe it's just Super OETH on this market, right? Because the yield is rebasing into another contract, whereas our other markets would be.
I'm gonna show both of them.
I see. Okay.
At the same time. So these bottom two are essentially the same, so you can think of them as the same kind of market. But these bottom two are basically set up the way that every other LST is set up on Morpho, which is you lend the wrapped version of an LST, and that way the yield is coming back to you as the lender. The yield from the LST is coming back to you as the lender. And then the strategy that most people will do is they'll borrow this other token. In this bottom one, it's wrapped ETH. in the middle one, it's MSETH, which is a ETH derivative that is pretty close to the same price as ETH. So what most people do is they'll borrow this token and then they'll convert it back into Super ETH, wrap it, and then redeposit it so they can leverage the yield itself. We do have markets set up to do that on Contango, but the new market with Borrow Booster is this top one that uses the unwrapped version. And what happens with this market is the yield that is generated from Super ETH is not going to you, the collateral lender. It's actually going to the other side, on the borrowing side, to incentivize the cost to borrow, basically making the borrow cost cheaper. So if you open up the market, you can see that on its own, the cost to borrow is 0.23%, positive 0.23%. But that's being offset from the actual native rate, which is 8.48, is being decreased by the Super ETH yield, which is showing 7.25. And we also have a little bit of a small OP incentive on there that's helping out as well, which is helping basically make it practically free to borrow. It's positive. So by taking out a borrow position, you are making a little bit of money on that.
Yeah, I believe it's probably the lowest borrow rate to borrow USDC on Morpho. It's usually -2, so you can get paid to borrow USDC. Right now, it's just slightly positive. But I think you can see the historical rates if you scroll down, Peter, just to get an idea of what the borrow rates typically are. I'm not sure if it shows with the incentives or not.
I'm not sure if this includes the incentives. This might just be the native rate, which looks like it's, with the exception of this one day.
I think if you scroll, if you go with the hover there, it will show. You see.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So as you go down the line, it does change. So yeah, it has been negative.
Yeah, typically when I check out this market, it's between -2 to -5% to borrow USDC, but it does fluctuate based on the utilization of the market and incentives.
Yeah, so this Contango market essentially lets you loop this Morpho market as many times over as you'd like to. It makes it very easy. And I think for the claiming of the tokens, you might still have to go over to Merkle to do that. I'm not sure. I haven't tested that myself. But for getting set up with the leverage, Contango makes it very easy to do that. Were there any questions from the community on this? I don't think I saw any. No, don't think so. Okay. And then that brings you over to Pendle, kind of on what you were talking about earlier in the call, Ryan. There's 2 new Pendle markets live, one for the Lido ARM and one for OETH. This one on my screen is the OETH one. This is the ARM one. They both have the same maturity date, which is June 24th, or 163 days from today. And they both work the same as previous Pendle markets, where you can be an LP or you can take a position for the PT, which earns the token's yield via discount at maturity, kind of like a 0 coupon bond, or YT, which becomes worthless at maturity, but is entitled to all of the yield generated until the maturity date. And then I'll just mention this again, that Pendle for the ARM is unique because it essentially allows you to take a bet on Lido's peg. If STETH depegs and the ARM is therefore able to generate higher yields, then trading YT on Pendle becomes a lot more interesting. I think this ARM market is still bootstrapping, like it says here. So we might need to put some incentives on this market to get it going. But otherwise, it's a good place to take a bet on Lido's peg, basically.
Yeah, that ARM market is super interesting. And I know you use the word depeg. That can be scary. I just want to call out that it doesn't really need to depeg. It just needs to drift really slightly from peg, and the ARM can print yield super efficiently. I'm not sure exactly how much it needs to drift from peg. I'm sure Raphael has probably a better estimate, but something like 0.2% off peg would make the ARM yield probably double digits or very close to double digits. So really interesting market to take a bet on the staked ETH peg volatility. And you really don't need a depegging event to happen. It just needs to drift slightly from peg. And typically we see that when there's huge withdrawal queues or entry queues to Lido, or there's market volatility. So really interesting market on Pendle.
Definitely. This was all I had today for integrations. So if there are no other questions, I'll release my screen.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Next up, we have our guest spotlight. We're going to bring Corn onto the stage and talk a bit about Origin Dollar. Hey, Corn, how's it going?
Hey, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So for those of you who don't know, we've been collaborating with Yearn quite a bit over the past couple months to overhaul Origin Dollar. So I'll let Corn talk a little bit about what Yearn is up to, and then maybe Raphael can give some context to Origin Dollar, and then we can dive into the product slides.
Has everyone heard about this yet? Where are we starting from?
So the people on Discord in Origin's community probably have heard about the Origin Dollar upgrades, but we're also streaming on X, where we probably have some people who are unfamiliar. So some brief high-level context would be helpful, but we can dive into the details pretty soon here as well.
Okay. Well, we're using a combination of OUSD and Yearn vaults and Morpho to basically create an efficiency play. For people who were, previously have a stable, projects that have a stable, and they want to pair it with something else to provide liquidity, which they have to do, they may have been picking USDC in the past. We want them to pick OUSD. And the reason for that is because of efficiency. Because of Borrow Booster and how that works, and Ryan and Peter were just explaining all of that, when we shave off that yield, it is an efficiency play. When people are providing incentives for their own liquidity positions, they get a part of that efficiency, of that Borrow Booster play, if they're pairing in the system with OUSD instead of another stable. So that's what we're going after right now.
That's exciting. Yes, and for those who don't know, we have been in touch with Yearn for a very long time. Corn and I have been discussing a bunch of ideas on how to collaborate and build something together. And I think right now we got into that phase with OUSD, and I feel like we are well set to get this growing really fast. So I can jump a little bit on this part, which I will talk about the phases that we are right now. We have phase one, and phase one means that OUSD is now fully backed by USDC. So there is no other collateral backing OUSD. So you can imagine OUSD being one-to-one with USDC. And the cool part right now is that with a partnership that we're doing together with Yearn, every USDC that we have is going to be allocated in between our AMO and our Yearn Morpho Vault. So the AMO will provide deep liquidity on curve right now for most of the people who want to use it, and everything else goes to generate yield with Morpho in the collaboration with the Yearn team. This phase is complete, so we are ready. We have been working over the holidays to make this happen, and phase two is where things will get very interesting when we start our multi-chain yield expansion. Ziad, if you go to the next slide, I can show a little bit more how phase one is actually working. So for those who can see the slide right now, you can see that every user, when they mint OUSD, USDC goes through our vault, and we can split in between the paths there. So everything that you're seeing here right now, it is live. And then if you go to the next slide, I think Korn can talk a little bit more about like how their experience with curating Morpho vaults and yeah.
Yeah, so we've been a curator for 5 years. We've been doing this on Morpho now for like probably 6 or 8 months now. And basically what our team does is we find sound collateral and we maintain like a good balance of the interest rate between the lenders and the borrowers on this market. And we also have all of our security and alerting stood up for this market also. And we're always keeping an eye on like what's going on chain. I think that Yearn's curation on Morpho like maybe started a little slow. We got like held up doing other things for quite some time, but now that we've been on there for a while, we're definitely one of the fastest growing curators, and doing it for this market is the same as doing it for like all the other markets that have like tens of millions of dollars of deposits on the lending side already.
That's amazing. That's why we feel secure. But yeah, with that, I go a little bit more of what Korn was talking about. Like, so we're gonna start a campaign now to enable a bunch of pools on Curve to be using OUSD, and they will have an unfair advantage by using OUSD in their pools, because the way that it works is that OUSD yield goes through a contract, and that contract is used to incentivize on vote market. And then all voters, they vote for the yield, so everyone will get OUSD, and then we get the CRV, and we keep the ball rolling, right? So this flywheel will work really, really, really well, and it's gonna be the cheapest way to deploy on-chain liquidity if you want to pair with USDC. But you can use OUSD because you're going to be generating yield on that. We estimated that this is really like interesting, and it can grow to I don't know, millions of like dollars. And one estimation that we had when we were discussing with the Curve team is that if we achieve 50 million in TVL on OUSD using Pool Booster, they will get something around, I don't know, it was something like $30,000 or $40,000 in incentives per week. So there is a very good like flywheel happening here that everyone will win money. So it's a very cool system.
There are a lot of ways to establish a moat these days. This is ours.
Yes, I think this is gonna go really well. And then there's the phase 2, right? Like in phase 2 is where things will get really interesting in terms of yield. Because what we'll end up doing is that you on Ethereum, you're gonna mint OUSD with USDC, and then USDC can actually go get the yield on the best chain out there. So here in this diagram, it's an example of us deploying USDC on Base and on Hyperliquid to get a higher yield on the pairs. And we believe that we can scale this into a very nice yield up to like hundreds of millions of dollars without any issue. This is the part that I'm really excited about, because you're gonna be able to just hold OUSD and participate on the best USDC yield across multiple chains in one holding one token. And we're gonna socialize all of this yield on Ethereum with all the OUSD holders, and soon you're gonna be able to loop it on Morpho or deploy more liquidity on pools.
Hey, Raphael, I'm seeing Hyperliquid and Base in this diagram, and I'm just curious how far along we are in our exploration of other chains. If we decided on Hyperliquid and Base as the first two chains that we're going to launch our multi-chain yield expansion on, or if this is simply just an example of how it would work.
That's a good question. The market changes really fast, right? Like in terms of yield opportunity. But there is, but we will for sure launch the first one on Base because there is a very big market with CBBTC that has integration directly with Coinbase with a very high yield. So we will bring that yield to Ethereum.
That's very exciting. And the audit's scheduled for January 19th, right? So that's going to take a few weeks. And I don't know how much we want to get into timelines, but I think Q1's probably a safe bet. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. Born, you wanted to say something?
I think the rest of the roadmap really relies on BD and finding projects who, were providing liquidity in some way for their stable and now want to do it with OUSD too.
Yeah, I think so too. I think like the added value is there, and I think we just need to explain this. But it has been very funny, like in some of the conversations that I was having before, because for those who are super familiar with how the curve ecosystem works and how the reward system works, I didn't need to explain that much. It was just like a 2 minute thing. It's like, oh yeah, this all makes a lot of sense. Let's do it, So the pipeline is exciting, and yeah, this is going to be a big change.
All right, I think that probably wraps up our OUSD section, which brings us to the end of the call. So yeah, let us know in the chat if there's any questions coming in from Discord. I don't think we have comments enabled on Twitter this time around, but I thought things went pretty smoothly for our first broadcast on X. I'm seeing no questions on Discord, but thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back in February with our next community call. You can RSVP on Discord or just stay tuned to Twitter since we're on Twitter now. And Corin, thank you so much for joining us again. It's been a pleasure working with you guys, and we'll have a lot more updates on OUSD to share very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.